Alright, I apologize to you all for being MIA for a couple weeks. Long story short, your boy got fucking married. The wife and I finally tied the knot. We then went on a much needed, much deserved honeymoon, but now we are back and I understand I got a lot of catching up to do. Quick shout out though to any family and friends that might be watching this video. We love you all. Thank you all so much for helping give us a spectacular wedding. We hope you had as much fun as we did. Alright, let's finally talk about Toy Story 5, eh? So Toy Story 5 is the 5th installment in the Toy Story franchise. We group back up with the toys who are still in Bonnie's possession. She's still playing with them. She still loves them. However, one day she is gifted a lily pad by her parents, which is basically the Toy Story's universe of an iPad. And she quickly becomes glued to the screen. You know, she's playing all the games. She's watching videos. She's trying to join certain friend groups online, which in turn might help her make friends outside of the iPad, or the lily pad rather, because making friends is something she's been struggling with as of late. The toys, however, quickly realize that tech is slowly but surely taking over the world, and toys are starting to lose their place in the world, namely with kids. So now the toys gotta come together, team up, and figure out how to keep Bonnie from being consumed by tech. The original Toy Story trilogy is one of the best movie trilogies of all time. It genuinely is, not just with animation, but in general. I mean, that trilogy is amazing. It's fantastic. All three of those movies, all time. And then we were announced to Toy Story 4, and I was like, I mean, is that really necessary? The story seemed wrapped up kind of perfectly. But I will say this, Toy Story 4, which I think is very overly hated on and gets a bad rep, I actually think it's very good. I thought it was great for Woody's story arc, and it provided something else to the franchise. It made me go, oh, okay, there was a little something else we could add to the story. And Toy Story 5 was kind of the same way I went into it. It's like, alright, is this really necessary? Do we need to tell another story here? But when I saw the trailer and I saw what the message was going to be, which was a toys versus tech kind of story, I was like, oh no, I could completely see this working. And that is the first thing I will say out the gate that really works for Toy Story 5. It is the message. It is the moral of the story. How tech has taken over the world, and namely how tech has affected kids. Because in this day and age, with the way technology has evolved and the way it's developed and the certain things we can do here and there, kids aren't playing with toys all that much. They're not really using their imagination when it comes to play. They're playing video games. They're going online with their friends. They're, you know, on social networks way too much. It's just like, that's what they're doing. They're not going outside and playing. They're not like collecting and playing with actual toys anymore. That's what they do. And it sucks. You feel like in that case, something is missing with these kids. The toys see that too. They see just how everyone is just so absorbed and obsessed with their screens. It's affecting them. It's affecting them socially. It's affecting their creativity. It's not good. And what I do like seeing with Lily Pad, when it came to her as a villain, is similar to Anxiety and Inside Out 2, she doesn't see herself as the villain. She believes that what she is doing is good for Bonnie. She sees herself as the hero of the story. Like, she's saying, like, yeah, the world is changing. The world has developed. Toys are just kind of a thing of the past now. Tech is the future and tech is forever. I'm trying to transition her into that point so it will be easier for her to make friends and connect with people. I also love that the movie does touch on just how much tech has evolved over time, and I've seen just in that way how much kids have evolved with their playing style when it came to new toys being released. That's something that was touched on in the first Toy Story when, you know, Woody was, you know, at one time Andy's favorite toy. He was just a little cowboy doll. And then he gets the cool 90s action figure that is Buzz Lightyear, and he's, you know, moving into that phase a little bit more. It makes perfect sense. When the new thing comes out and there's certain things that those new things can do that maybe kids aren't used to, they gravitate towards that. So as a result, in this movie, once again, as part of the case for most Toy Story movies, we get introduced to more new characters. We get introduced to more tech sort of toys. We get introduced to, you know, the kind of toys that maybe we were used to seeing when we were younger, and, you know, tech started to evolve into the toys, and now we've seen just how much they got left behind, and it moved into the more tech-savvy things. And some of these new characters are fun. There's one, like, potty training sort of tech toy that's voiced by Conan O'Brien. Thought he was hilarious. But I will say, the issue that comes with bringing in all these new characters that we keep seeing in these Toy Story movies is the issue that I think people have had with Toy Story 4 and are probably going to have with Toy Story 5. The characters we know and love take a big backseat. Like, you know, Slinky, Ham, the Potato Heads, Rex, they don't really do much. They maybe have like one line each in this movie, and then they're in a box for most of it. Even characters we got introduced to in the last movie, like, Forky and Duke Kaboom, Bo Peep coming back, the two plush animals. Did those two even have lines? Like, no, they don't do a whole lot in this movie. They crack a couple jokes here and there, they say a couple lines here and there, but they don't really provide much to the story because naturally, the movie does want to shift focus onto newer characters. But as a result, you do feel like the movie is getting a little crowded in that sense. And because of that, if you really love the original trilogy like I do, the characters that you're used to seeing just don't have as much to do here. At this point though, when it comes to Toy Story characters, the big three, Woody, Buzz, and Jessie, they need to be in every Toy Story movie. And even though, like, Woody's story felt concluded in the previous Toy Story movie, there's no way they weren't going to have him in here because it wouldn't be Toy Story without him. That's just kind of what you have to learn to accept at this point. As long as those big three are in the movie, they're going to press on with Toy Story. The others will take a backseat. Those three will always be in somewhat of the forefront. And that's what I will brace you all for right now. This is Jessie's story. Jessie is by far the most prominent and main character of this story, which I think is good because in Toy Story 4, she felt a little bit more like she took a little bit of a backseat. In this one, not at all. This is her story. And I will give credit where it's due. With Jessie, you see a lot of emotional points in her story that undeniably are going to affect the audience. Because you see it in her. She's so afraid of being replaced once again. She has, flashbacks to her previous owner, Emily, and what happened with her, and how she grew up, and Jessie kind of got left behind, and now she sees what Bonnie is going through, and she's afraid that's about to happen to her as well. The movie really does hammer home more of her history with her owner, which I thought was awesome, and I'll say this much right now. It does maybe debunk some fan theories here and there, but I don't know. The thing that does get wrapped up with her past, I actually thought was very sweet for the story. I actually thought it worked. I think that's what's going to hit people a little bit. But yeah, undeniably, I had fears going into this movie saying Jessie would be the lead character because she's never really been the lead character as opposed to Woody and Buzz. But she did great here, and I'm glad they took the route that they did because it completely ended up working for the story. When it comes to Woody and Buzz in this movie, Woody and Buzz definitely take a little bit more of a backseat, as I mentioned. Now, they have things to do. They have a mission for themselves, and I will say, the chemistry between Woody and Buzz is always going to be great. It's nice seeing them bicker, it's nice seeing them argue, it's nice seeing them compete because that's always funny. I would say this much, they do play a little too much on Woody being like an old doll at this point, and I also gotta address this with Buzz. I don't know if the franchise has been entirely sure on the direction to take his character. I mean, in the first Toy Story, his arc completely worked. He believed he was a real space ranger, didn't know he was a toy, realized he was a toy, realized that was okay. He and Woody started off as rivals, became friends. Toy Story 2, Woody is kidnapped. Buzz leads the rescue mission to go out and save him. Perfect. Toy Story 3, they started taking more of the comedic route with Buzz, making him more of a joke figure. They put him back into demo mode, and then they're trying to fix them, and he becomes Hispanic, and that's meant for jokes. And again, I was fine with it for Toy Story 3 because it worked for Toy Story 3. But then in Toy Story 4, they make him kind of a simpleton, trying to figure out how to help in ways where he has to connect with the voice in his head. I always thought that was a little too silly. And then in this movie, he's just a total simp for Jessie the whole time. I mean, he kind of always has been, but this movie really hammers down on that, and that's kind of the whole story arc he has in this movie, and I'm just like, yeah, they really don't know what to do with this guy now. You do get an army of Buzz Lightyears in this movie that are more high-tech, upgraded Buzz Lightyears. I will say, I thought what they did with those toys was actually pretty cool, and eventually, for a while, you're kind of looking at them like, what's the point of having them in the story other than comic relief? By the end, they had more to do with it, so I'll give the movie that, but it did take a while to get going. And that is another thing that I will say. The movie did take a little while to get going because, in certain cases, like, it's Bonnie playing with her toys and that makes her a little bit different to the other kids and she's not really sure where she fits in. But I will say this. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a point with Jessie's character. She goes somewhere, and from that point forward, the movie really started to pick up for me. You could definitely start to see where the movie was going, but as predictable as it might have been, that's where it hit me. Bonnie starts to understand more of who she is, like, realizing that she's the quirky kid, realizing that she's different, and realizing that's okay, and that there are others like her out there. That for me is when the movie really started to find its flow, and it really stuck the landing emotionally for me. Because it really comes away with another great lesson in there. It is okay to be different. It's okay to have different interests than other people. It's okay to be different than other people in your age group or something like that. Being different's not a bad thing. Because I love that it illustrates that with kids. They want so badly to fit in. They want so badly to be a part of the cool group of kids. And you might think they're people you'll be friends with, and you realize they're not the type of people you want to be friends with. And, there are people more like you out there that you could vibe more with, and you'll feel better because of it. And that is ultimately what I will say. These Toy Story movies, they always find a way to leave that emotionally impactful ending that you look for in all of them. And this movie really did that here. That's what really brought it home for me. So all in all, I thought Toy Story 5 was another welcomed entry into the franchise. Jessie being the lead of this story, I thought it completely worked. I liked seeing her get the clarity that she needed. I liked seeing the emotional notes that she brought. I loved the toys versus tech story, seeing how tech has taken over the world, how tech believes it's doing the right thing when it's actually not. The new characters that were brought in, they were funny, they were unique. Some characters we know and love get a little bit left behind. It's good to see Woody and Buzz have their banter again. I do wish each of them had a little bit more to do in this one. I don't love that Buzz is taking a lot of the comedic relief route in later movies, but the story here does work. Once again, it's beautifully animated. I love the way the movie's animated when you see the kid's imagination. I thought that was really cool. The movie was really funny when it needed to be funny. It definitely hits in the feels when you needed to do that. Is it as good as the original Toy Story trilogy? Absolutely not, but granted, what is? The question is, how does it compare to Toy Story 4? For me, I would give this one a slight edge, and I'm someone who really likes Toy Story 4 because I think the story in this one was a lot more relevant than the one in Toy Story 4 was, like the moral of the story. In the end, I don't really know where else they could go with this Toy Story franchise, but I'm not opposed to seeing what they could do. And you know what? I'm gonna bump my rating up a little bit more than I thought I was going to, because the more I am sitting on it, the more I am appreciating Toy Story 5 as a movie with its moral and its lessons. Yeah. I'm gonna give Toy Story 5 an 8 out of 10, which makes it one I'm gonna buy on physical home media.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, physical home media is never gonna die on my watch. Borrowing that from this story as well. I'm not leaving it to streaming. I'm buying that thing and holding it on forever, because it's right. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.